there, you amazing patrons. It's X, and I'm here with Kyle and Felicia, and this is the Utah Outcasts Secret Patron Show. Yeah, I'm getting all radio voice on this shit nowadays. Look, no
radio voice.
This is our special content we provide to the folks who are generous enough to share with us at least $1 a month. So if you've stumbled upon this in your regular show feed on a Friday or a weekend, thanks for stopping by, but you've missed the actual show earlier in the week. So go back and download the last 2 episodes, please, for full effect. What we're going to be talking about tonight, the latest episode that hit for free for everybody out there as we're recording this was the one where we were talking about evolution versus this really shitty Christian apologetic called G-Man.
Oh, yes. Okay.
Where it was bad. It was just really bad. And so when I was looking around on comments on a lot of the stuff, someone's like, you need to look into this because, you know, this will prove all this stuff to you. And I'm just like, okay, well, let me see what they're talking about here. There is a geologic formation in Washington State called the Scablands. I don't know if you ever heard of these. They're in eastern Washington.
Okay.
And these people in the apologetic world are using this as their apologetic for proof of the Great Flood. And so, yeah. Okay, so I went to the apologeticsforum.org and I found an article that I could find here about it. And it says, scientists are supposed to follow the evidence. But what happens when they prefer established dogma? Let me tell you about a fascinating article in National Geographic.
All right, please do.
And so, imagine one of the world's most dramatic landscapes, 16,000 square miles of canyons, channels, waterfalls, one of them 10 times the size of Niagara, but now all completely dry. What you're imagining is the channeled scablands of eastern Washington State, a breathtaking memorial to one of the largest floods in Earth's history.
No.
That
doesn't make sense. Is that what the National Geographic said?
No, this is the apologetic guy.
Okay, I was going to say. I don't think the National Geographic said that.
No, because you don't get fucking canyons from floods.
They know how rocks work, right? Like
no, they really don't.
They can run water over a rock, right? Like they can do that.
They don't understand sedentary deposits. They don't understand layers of strata. They don't understand any of this. They think all of the layers of strata that come out of the Grand Canyon happened because water was flowing over it. Because, you know, the heavier particulates will float to the bottom and the very other ones will float to the top. And it's like, a rock's a rock, man. You know?
It's not particulates. Like they're called erosion.
There's giant ash layers that you can find in strata from, you know, volcanoes going off. And so,
yeah, I know. Like you can, they're in Lake, in the Loch Ness. In the Loch Ness, there is some rock that they've proven is the same rock that's in North America. They're the same rock, exactly the same. From the continents shifting and changing, it got separated over time, but it's the exact same rock in Canada. It's amazing. But that doesn't happen. Canada didn't end up on the other side of the world in a day, in 40 days.
No. So it says here, writing in National Geographic, Michael Hodges recounts how when a high school teacher came to the obvious conclusion in 1909.
Ooh, there we go. There's some modern.
Yeah, you're reaching back there, guys. He was laughed out of the room by the scientific community. Looking across the aptly named Scablands today, it's easy to see why 27-year-old Harley Bretz, who had no formal training in geology at the time, saw the work of a flood. But a century ago, earth science was locked in the dogma of Charles Lyell's 1830 text, Principles of Geology. Lyell taught that changes in Earth's rocks and soil are the product of processes now in operation, steadily eating at the landscape over millions of years.
Yeah. We can measure that. We can measure the rate at which water wears away at the surfaces of rocks.
Lyell's uniformitarian ideas gained such acceptance that when Bretz presented his findings about the Great Flood of Washington State to geologists in the nation's capital, he received the closest thing they could give to a flogging. Citation needed, motherfuckers.
Yeah.
Get the fuck out.
Flogging. Yeah.
So
I've flogged a lot of people if that's flogging.
So I just pulled it up, the Scablands. I just pulled it up on the map just to get an idea of where it was.
Yeah.
So It's in the middle of this band of western lava fields that stretch, from like Arizona up through Montana.
Imagine that.
Because
we live, this giant fucking caldera that we live on.
Yeah, because we have fucking volcanoes. So there's these ancient lava fields, and it is right in the path of glacial fields too.
Oh.
So how are you? So what's going to happen when you have ancient lava fields and melting glaciers? You have receding glaciers at a higher elevation that come right down into these valleys that are formed by lava flows. I fucking wonder what's going to happen.
So it says here.
I feel like canyons. Canyons?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
It says here, during peak glaciation, a wall of ice thousands of feet high dammed up the Clark Fork River, creating glacial Lake Missoula, a body of water twice the size of Rhode Island. And when the glacier retreated and the dam broke, wonder why? It unleashed one of the biggest torrents in history, a flood raging across the Columbia Plateau to the Pacific Ocean, carrying more water than all of the world's rivers combined. No.
That's not possible.
Probably not quite.
No.
But
twice the size of Rhode Island? No, dude, that's...
All of the world... They know the Nile's really big, right?
The Yangtze, the Nile, the Rio Grande.
Right.
The tank.
That seems like a bit of... Who
Amazon.
Who wrote that?
Yeah.
This is an apologetic forum post.
Okay.
Yeah,
I was gonna say if
that's not possible. There's no way that's possible. There's no way that's possible.
No, you can't. You can't. Well, one, you can't measure the volume of a river like that.
Thank you. That was what I was going to say. I was like, rivers are they're moving. Therefore, like, there's no one amount of water.
Right.
You can measure velocity, depth. You can measure like approximations, but you can't measure a river like you can a lake.
No. And I was going to say, hey, maybe give them the benefit of the doubt. Maybe they're just being hyperbolic, and that's a little bit of poetic license to, try to convey fuck ton of water.
So yes, there was a flood in Washington State. It's not the global flood that they're talking about. This apologetic post is talking about it happened in Washington. So how come we can't say this happened with the Grand Canyon when it got made by the world flood kind of thing?
So different. Okay.
Wait. So I have a really easy explanation for this. So the glacier created a lake, right? Which meant there was rivers feeding into the lake. Correct? Yes.
Yeah, that's how lakes are formed. Yes.
So then the dam breaks, which means the water goes down, but there's still rivers that are feeding into that area. And that means that first it's going to flood, and then there's going to be certain paths that the water starts taking over and over and over, and then we end up with the canyon.
Right. And then what you get with because
there's still rivers at the top.
Right. And when you have a lava field, what you wind up with is pockets of very, very soft porous rock.
Right.
And you have pockets of, super hard, like basalt that does not erode very quickly.
So the water takes the path of least resistance.
You have quick eroding rock and not quick. So that's why you have these kind of weird formations that don't have the same striation as like the Grand Canyon.
But that's still me. But okay. So
it's still the same. It's still the same process. Yeah.
In Washington, those rivers were not formed in a single flood.
No.
They were started by a flood, but they were not formed. Those canyons were not formed in a single flood.
Right.
And it's not like overnight.
Yeah. Well, that's how you wind up, right?
Yeah, but that's how you wind up.
One flood did this. Like.
No. But that's how you wind up with things like these, big dry canyons or dry waterfalls, where you just have this very soft rock instantly washed away.
God, I love the extremes these people bend themselves into to try to prove.
So before we started this, I had never actually heard of this place. Don't know anything about it. I looked at a map for like 5 seconds and I went, "Oh, I see how that happened."
Yeah,
it wasn't.
There was rivers up here, and then some other things changed, and then the river stopped feeding from this one spot, which meant there was no longer a river there, which means it's now dry.
Right.
It's not hard.
No, it's not. And all it took was, scrolling out on the map a little bit and going, oh, I see. Here's glaciers. Here, I see glacial canyons. Okay, glaciers here. Okay, valley here. Oh, look, lava fields. Oh, I get it.
Yeah. Probably beautiful. I really want to go there.
No, it looks really cool. I looked at some pictures. It looks neat.
Well, I mean, I know fuck all when it comes to geology, but at least I know that you don't get a canyon off of, a days of receding water from the flood going.
No, I mean, you can
start a canyon,
but it looks different than the Grand Canyon does.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and the Grand Canyon rock is so hard.
A lot of it is, yeah.
We can see it. We can see when there was more water and less water in years. Mm-hmm. Like we the fuck all geologists. We don't know. We're just checking there. We could look at it and go, oh yeah, you can totally see that the water wore that down. Cool. Like we can totally see it. This canyon, the one in Washington, wasn't a single day made. It just wasn't.
Yes, because it involved having to wash away these softer stones and the softer dirt and the rocks around it.
Right. Yeah, geologically, it happened in a short time, but not like...
But as a human, no, it did not happen that fucking fast.
And then something else changed upstream, and then it didn't have water there anymore.
It's not like this guy stumbled upon these scablands in 1909 for National Geographic, and they're like, look at all this water, and then come back the next day and be like, fuck, look at all of these scablands that are here. It's like, it's not how it fucking works. But if you listen to Christians who want to tell us that the Bible is the way and all this blah, blah, blah bullshit, it's like, okay, so you're telling me the whole world was covered up to the tallest mountain peak because they went to Mount Ararat to eventually stop. I mean, Ararat's not really that tall.
No, it's not.
But anyway, let's not go down that rabbit hole. But let's just say, there was enough water that flooded the entire planet. And they would try to say, oh, well, the water that when it finally started receding, it went into all the cisterns that were underneath the planet.
I've heard that. And I'm like, but that meant that they couldn't have been full. They had to, like, what was there, a vacuum?
God just automatically opened up porous rock underneath the crust.
Right. not to mention the fact that it would completely fuck all the fresh water.
And also no plants would grow. No plants would grow.
How about lichen? What about motherfucking lichen? Many, many animals rely on lichen, and lichen cannot grow underwater.
Gross. Lichen. So yeah, that's all we got for our fun little jaunt into apologetics. I just thought it would be a fun one to go into. A rather short one because if you're a person that's listening on the Uncut show, we got 40 minutes of us talking about Black Panther because that came out this week as well. So go
Black Panther again.
Because we just barely scratched the surface. God damn it.
God, it's so good, you guys. Okay.
So yeah, don't believe shitty apologetics. Just start thinking about things when they come across you. It's like this is a story of science.
On the face of it, it's like,
well, here's the thing. This story is being propped up as like, okay, this guy came into these people and he said, well, I think it was a flood that did this, and they laughed him out of the room. And then evidence was presented to these people about how this was a flood that happened.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so
and guess what science did? Guess what science did? They changed their minds.
Yeah,
when evidence was provided. Yeah. But it wasn't a global flood.
No, okay, so they said, the one person said, this looked like this was a flood, and they went, ha ha ha, and then somebody's like, no, there was a flood, and they're like, oh, look at that, you got proof. But never, ever, ever did science say, oh, this canyon was formed in a day. That never happened.
And they're also trying to say at the very end here, if you're unwilling to change your scientific reasoning, why can't we change Darwinism? It's like
Darwinism changes all the time. Actually, that's kind of how theories work.
That's kind of how that works. But that's not
our understanding of it evolves.
Yes.
Is there perhaps another theory that comes to mind which modern scientists are unwilling to question? A theory whose most lucid critics are laughed out of the room and called names? There is, and it's called Darwinism.
Well, Darwinism isn't the theory.
No,
it's not.
Oh, such shitty apologetics.
Theory of evolution by natural selection
is questioned and tested all the time.
Oh, and we actually have so much of a better understanding that we know now that evolution doesn't just occur by natural selection, through mutation.
Yeah,
through mutation,
through natural selection.
And to finish it off
there's
here,
so many.
They finish this off with one sentence where I'm like, wait a minute, you're just shooting yourself in the foot here. It says, ironically, evidence, even a deluge of it, can take a long time to erode dogma.
Boom! Boom! Boom!
Like,
oh!
You just admitted that
undermine your
global flood.
Seriously.
Undermine your entire point. It takes a long time.
Stupid.
You want to go back and reread that to yourself, maybe?
How did this guy publish this in, what was it, from Breakpoint Colson Center of April 3rd, 2017? And this is new apologism. This is like only a year old.
Oh, that's glorious. That makes me so happy. Even a deluge takes a long time. Yeah, motherfucker, you're right. It does.
Is it intentionally ironic?
I don't think so.
Is that accidental irony?
Well, he calls it ironic, but it's like ironic. It's ironic in its irony.
Yeah.
It's
well,
glorious.
the very top of the website, apologeticsforum.org, helping equip believers in the defense of the faith. You're not doing a good job.
You notice how science doesn't
go
have
ahead.
apologetic forums.
You need a refund. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
Now, okay, and to make myself more petulant and just make myself feel better about myself, Apologetic Forum of Sonoma County, it says here, only has 250 likes on Facebook.
Boom.
Oh, damn it. We have to
funny.
start punching up, not down.
Yeah, we do.
No, I'm going to punch these people.
Well, to be fair, they are still in a position of power, and they have the president's ear now. So that's terrifying.
Yay. No, just no. All right, we'll catch you next week with another one, guys. We'll see you.